Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Greg. We have a very, very special guest today. She is from my hometown of Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Yahoo! Shout out Montreal. And her first season was in February of 1991 in Paradise Island, Bahamas. And get this, she was an au pair picnic GO. You do not meet many au pair picnic GOs their first season. So I'm pretty excited to talk about that and whatever else we're going to talk about. You're just going to have to keep on listening. So without further ado, please give a warm welcome to from Montreal, Sylvie. Sylvie, ça va? How are you?
Hey, salut Greg. Ça va super bien. I'm doing very well. Yourself?
Oh, good. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, yeah, I think we figured out that even though like you started 91, I started 94, we somehow, unless we're wrong, people, and please send us photo evidence, I don't think we did a season together. We must have just missed each other. We, in fact, if we're not mistaken, met at Hendel Duplessis, one of his parties in like either 2006 or 2007, correct?
It's something like that. Yeah, the years are getting blurred with old age advancing fastly. But yeah, no, I don't think we ever been in a village together, but we know the same people.
Yeah, we have, according to Facebook, we have 45 mutual friends. So there's that. But yeah, I think we must have just missed each other. But we were racking our brains trying to think, no, for sure we did a season together, but we kept comparing years and villages. And I think we just missed each other each time.
Yeah, I think following in one another throughout the years.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you like to just tell me like how, like, 91, like how did you find out about Club Med? Like how did you, and then, who told you about it, or you saw an ad somewhere?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, like most people in the good old 90s, there was the ad on TV, like they would show you like the most fantastic picture of a beach and it looked like paradise, and they say 30 seconds at Club Med, imagine a week. Yes. And they always had like the little music like in the back of it, and I would hear it everywhere. And one night I'm with some friends, we're partying in a bar in Montreal, and one of those friends goes, hey, what are you doing this week? I said, nothing, I'm off. He goes, do you want to go to Club Med? I'm like, what? I said, well, I didn't plan. He's like, no, don't worry about it. He goes, I was supposed to go with my boyfriend, but we got into a fight. I don't want to bring him. So I said, oh, so you want me to go with you? And he's like, yeah, everything is paid for. You don't have to worry about anything. I'm like, sure, why not? I'm seeing all those ads in my head. I'm like, oh my God, this is not happening. And he got me. I go, when do we leave? He goes, at 6 a.m. It's 2:00. We're in Laval. We're partying. I'm like, what? Jump on a cab, got to my house, packed everything in the dark. And in those days, I did not even own a suitcase. I had just a big straw bag that, that closed like a wallet, like just a little nub. He said, can I help you? I said, yeah, gather everything around the bathtub and just put it in the bag. So pack up the bag. And it's when I landed that I realized that I didn't pack any shoes.
Well, wait a minute.
That's how I landed to Club Med.
What kind of friend? Like, boy, we all wish we had a friend like this. I don't think anyone has ever had a friend say, hey, and let's just be honest. Like, how long did you know this friend before?
I knew him not that long, actually.
Oh my God.
With you. But the thing he was going there, the thing for him is that he was going there for work. He's a banker, so he did a lot of business in Nassau. And it was the cheapest place to make him stay was Club Med because everything was included. So, and he just had to take the little boat shuttle from Paradise Island straight to Nassau, and he was there. So every 3 or 4 months he was going there. And it's not a shady thing. Well, depends who you ask. Well, he used to work for the government.
Yeah,
so
banker, Bahamas. No, nothing shady going on there.
No. For the government. So no, so they were doing a lot of investments.
Which government?
Quebec, actually.
Oh, okay. Now, Wait a minute. Are you saying that, so you had every intention of going there as a GM. So are you saying you're one of those GOs that wound up staying or got invited to stay to work there?
Yeah, I was invited to stay, actually.
By who?
By the chef of village, believe it or not.
Who was that?
It was Sylvain Barberet-Girardin.
Wow.
He was an interim chef of village over there. And what happened is that when I got there, I mean, listen, 2:00, we're at my house in La Salle, and then we drove all the way to Mirabel in the good old days to get to the airport. And they just scratched the name of the guy that was on the ticket, and they put my name in red ink. I remember the gate agent She dropped her blue pen, took a red pen, put my name with my driver's license. And in the good old days, there was not even a picture on the driver's license. Got into the plane, we partied, and it was charters for Clement. So people were already in the festive mood.
Just hold on. You're spinning gold here, Sylvie. Just back up one sec. Can you imagine in today's day crossing out someone's name, not if there were tickets, crossing out someone's name, no photo ID, and they're like, yeah, come on the plane. Can you imagine that happening today? Like, oh my God.
No, and I used to work as a flight director for 10 years. So when I go back on those years, I'm like, oh my God, no way. No way, Jose. No way. It's crazy. It's crazy. I told you my story was crazy.
Yeah.
So we got into that and we party all throughout. And because we were already on a party mood before we got onto, and it was when Corona, not the disease, the beer.
The beer. Okay. Yes.
Came out.
Yes.
So everybody was drinking Corona on board. And it was a big party. Everybody knew everybody's name before getting off of the airplane because we party. I won a bottle of rum during my flight. We got there.
Wait a minute, Sylvie. Well, back. Yeah. How do you win a bottle of rum during a flight? Like, what was going on in this plane? Like, what?
Oh, we turned that place upside down.
Well, was the prize from the guest on the plane, or was the prize from the cabin crew?
No, it was from the cabin crew because we're having fun, and some people were. And we started singing like songs from Clement, and and nobody knew the words because we only heard about it. And we tried to do the hands up, but that's the only word everybody knew. So hands up, and that's all. And we kept repeating it. Everybody started clapping, and it was a party before we landed. And the crew came to my seat, and I was traveling with two other people, and they go, "You guys were just too much, and you, Missy, you were just too much." And they just gave me a bottle of rum. I'm like, oh, that's starting good.
Okay. Well, I want to go back to 1991 right now. Okay?
Yeah. So we land, go to my room, unpack. That's when I realized I have no shoes. So it's going to be a barefoot week. But in the good old days, barefoot was the way to go in Clement. So I was not out of sorts there because everybody was barefoot. And as you know, I made friends in the plane. So I was like, okay, let's meet at the bar. Let's do karaoke. We were participating in everything. And that was on a Sunday. On the Tuesday, I went snorkeling, and my snorkeling geo was Jenner. Everybody knows Jenner.
He was?
So yeah, he was the snorkeling geo. So snorkeling and picnic goes together. So we go into the boat and you have the ocean to yourself, and this older gentleman who was there with his family. I mean, every time I was kicking my fins, I was hitting him. I'm like, we have the ocean, buddy. Go around, don't. And then I realized he was asking for help. He was having a heart attack. I freaked out. So I just turned him on and back. There was not much I could do. So I signaled the boat. They came and get me. We did CPR. The guy was okay. He didn't die or anything. So but I was like a lot of emotion. So we cut the snorkeling trip short. We go back to shore, and oh my God. So now even though I was a crazy girl from the plane, now I was somebody who actually managed to get back somebody to the boat who was having a heart attack. And it was crazy. So at the medal ceremony, I won a medal. That was the same night. So I won a medal for my prowess. The morning after, I'm exhausted. I'm having the late breakfast in front of the port. I'm sitting there by myself having coffee and a croissant. And the chief of village arrived, and he was mad at me. And I said, what's going on? He goes, where were you last night? I'm like, oh, I was in my bed. I was sleeping. He goes, there was a meeting. You missed it. I said, there was a meeting I missed. Oh, I said, I didn't know that you had to go to the meetings. Like, of course you have to go to the meetings. I said, oh, I thought, Clement, you do whatever you want, And then he looked at me weird. He goes, what do you mean? He said, you're not a GO? I'm like, no. He goes, oh, because he was new as well in the village. So he was not familiar with all of his crew yet because he was an interim chief of village. And he goes, oh my God, but everybody knows you. I'm like, yeah, because I have fun. And I mean, what are the chances I'm going to do a trip like this ever again in these conditions? So I said, taking full advantage of everything. I'm having a blast. And he goes, oh, we need people like you. Do you want to stay? And I said, well, I'm not too sure because with the reaction you had, because I missed a meeting up, he's like, no. Honestly, you have to come. I said, let me think about it. And I was like, all emotions, everything like flashing in front of my eyes. Like, what do I do? I knew I was at a crossroad. And I remember on a Thursday night, sitting by myself on the beach next to the sailing shack, watching the stars, thinking they're so close to here, the little music in the back. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, that's what I'm doing.
Well, wait a minute. It had nothing to do with being February in Montreal and -40, right? I'm sure that might have had a
that was
little something to do with it, right?
Huge factor,
Okay,
huge
good.
influencing factor. I realized that I was born in the wrong country. I love my country; it's fantastic, but my God, the winter.
Yep,
I
I
can't.
agree. Yeah.
I
Well,
just can't.
did you go home and then make your decision?
Yes, because like I said, I did not even pack a pair of shoes. So I said, well, listen, I just bought a condo. I had a brand new car. I'm like, oh, shoot. So I went back home. I put everything, and like when things are meant to happen, I called back the notary that I'd done the business with for my condo. He said, "Oh, there was another buyer. Let me see if when you bid on the condo, let me see if he's still interested." So sold my condo, my car. I got rid of all my winter clothes, gave them to my sister and my mother, packed my bags, and like I said, no suitcases. I went and bought two hockey pouch. Like the big one is it looked like I was carrying two dead bodies and those things because I brought way too much stuff. And that's how I left, and never intending to come back. And at the airport, I noticed this guy, and he's tall and blonde and way more tan than anybody else is there. He ended up being on my flight. And as we're sitting next to each other in the plane. And he introduced himself. He's like, hi, mon nom c'est Luc. My name is Luc. So I'm like, okay, my name is Sylvie. He says, where are you going to? He's like, you're going to Clement? I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, me too. I'm a G over there. I'm like, really? He goes, yeah. He said, what are you going to be doing there? I said, well, I've been asked to come as a snorkeling picnic Geo. He goes, oh, that's what I'm going to be doing. So the guy, Luc, is red.
Okay, well,
it's red from Club Med.
Well,
that's how we met.
Well, what did it? But did the chief tell you that you wouldn't be getting paid?
Well,
the au pair?
No, I was going there apparently with a contract. So when I came back 3 weeks later, I don't know if there was a kerfuffle with the paperwork or what, but nobody was expecting me when I got there. So, and the guy, Red, that was sitting next to me in the plane, was the guy with the contract for the picnics. I'm like,
awkward. Okay.
I cannot go back. I sold everything,
Boy.
And they go, don't worry. And some people remember me because, apparently I was unforgettable that week. I had so much fun. And they go, don't worry. So for a little bit, so my job was au pair. I'm like, what is that? So basically you get room and board and you participate to the activity. They give you an area to work at. So I was the au pair snorkeling picnic geo, and I ended up touching and often when they would need, when there was an affluence of too much people somewhere, they would send me there as the au pair for the week over there. So I did pretty much every services. They put me as a tennis secretary for a bit. And I worked there. Some of the geos that were there, Xavier Corn, Saber Fa.
Saber was there too?
Saber was there too. All these people became chief of village. Our golf geo was Jean-Marc Desy.
Jean-Marc Desy?
Desy, sorry. Jean-Marc Desy. The chief of entertainment was E.T. Mehmet.
Okay. Wow.
And chief of sport was Momo. They all became chief of village. So I had an amazing crew. It was ridiculous. I was there with Red and Jenner. It was crazy. Amazing people. I've learned so much about life, the way it works, how it goes, teamwork. And how customer service, without knowing in those days that it was customer service, how it was super important. And in those days, you didn't need a badge. If you were a good geo, you talked to everybody. Everybody knew you. So you didn't need a badge. So for me, when the badge came on, it was more an annoyance than anything, because the first one, they were with, I don't know if you met, they were with the little, it looks like a pin. and it would rust and it would stab you and it was getting caught in everything. And so, yeah, so I learned so many things from these people. It was just amazing.
How long did you spend at Paradise that first season? How long were you there?
Paradise, I stayed there. I got I got to Cancun around close to I think in November. So I stayed there for quite a bit. Stayed there for quite a bit. Did a change of a team there because I came in. The season was already started, so I was
Well, was
I was
the
always in between.
was
And
the
the chief
what
of
was the did you eventually get the actual chief of village in Paradise? Like, because you said you had an
yes, the
interim
chief.
who was
Yeah,
the
the chief
actual.
of village was Mustafa El Kotni.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the chief of village there that year. And yeah, so I did a lot of services and learned about a lot of things. But it was just crazy. Like in those, and like I was 24, so my brain was not fully thinking, and I was just, like going with the flow. That's how I learned that that's what it is. Like you just, oh, youth. I wish sometimes my brain would go back to these periods, like like you just go with what feels right, and you just go with it with all the conviction you have in you. You don't even have to muster it, it's there. And I miss those days. I miss those days. Like now you're older, you think more about things. Like I started doing like water ski circus, and nowadays I'm like, oh, but what if I get hurt, and what if they don't catch me, and what if I fall, and is there a crocodile in the lagoon? In those days, you want to try water ski? Sure, let's go. How do you do that? Boom. Okay, and if you fall, swim fast back to the boat because there's crocodiles. Okay. And it was not a care in the world. I don't know what was a magic in the air, but it was amazing. I miss those days so much. I'm pretty sure you do too.
Yes. Do you have any funny stories from your first season that you can recall?
Funny stories, yeah, every day was a funny story because so many things, like people really let go when they go to Club Med, because it's and then it was, people knew that you only go on first name basis. Nobody knew they knew where you were from depending on your accent, but they didn't know what you do. You didn't talk about work. You didn't talk about back home. You thought about like what you did this morning, what you do as snorkeling. But one of the most amazing story I remember is, I'm sure every geo was gonna remember those days. You always had one of those guests that come in that like really is like so impressed with the geos, like it's a little, they become groupies, but borderline stalker. And sometimes because you say hello to everybody, hey, how are you, and you're friendly, sometimes people think it means more than just hello. And we had one of those guys that come, I know it sounds like a bad story off the bat, but bear with me. So this guy, like it was, you can tell it was a little bit too friendly, and he was like an excited kid, like he was like an excited 8-year-old, but he was 40, so you could tell there was something like a bit, you could tell he had a slight maybe handicap, but you could not pinpoint it. And all the girls were running away from him because he was so happy that we were talking to him. He was just so thrilled. And like the white patent shoes, the knee socks, the long Bermuda, the Magnum flower shirt, the captain's hat. And it was just a little bit too much. And we were running, and the poor guy, you could tell he was miserable. And one day we had Red and Jenner giving us a lecture saying like, you guys, you don't understand what Club Med is. And we're like, what do you mean? And they go, well, listen, this guy probably saved all his life to come here to enjoy his vacation, and you guys are making him feel bad. So if you, Sylvie, talk to him for 5 minutes, and then somebody else comes in and take the relay and talks to him to 5 minutes, and then somebody else, and everybody does that, nobody's kind of stuck with somebody they don't really, feel comfortable with, but everybody takes the relay. He's going to be talking to everybody, and let's make him king of the week. And you know what? Like I said, in those days, we were going with the flow. So we go, you know what? Let's do this. This guy, had the most memorable week ever. And between us, like after you talk with 5 minutes with the guy, you realize that he's got a slight handicap, a slight mental handicap, and he's working in a mailroom in New York because he's finally gained his independence at 40 years old. He's renting a little room in a boarding house, and I think he has spent 5 or 7 years saving money to get this vacation. This will never be happening ever again in his life. And we actually ended up making this trip. He was king of the week, and between us, we would talk like, oh, did you know that he do that? Did you know? And we got to know him. We got to give the guy a chance, and we got to know him. And we discovered somebody who was an amazing person, just a bit awkward at first. And the guests at Club Med were like, who the hell is this guy? Why all the geos are talking to him? Why is he always invited everywhere? People are fighting to have him at his table. So the guests, without knowing it, started getting on wanting to know this guy. So people were inviting him for sailing, for coffees, to the dance floor, this guy. And when he left, everybody was in tears because it changed our perception of life and what it is to be accepting and given a chance to someone, to get to know someone and go further than appearance. And that is one of the most amazing stories that I ever got out of Club Med. And to this day, I apply this everywhere, So when there's a task or somebody that you have to deal with that's not great, teamwork is the key. And I've carried that throughout my life. And it serves me to this day, sir.
Oh, please call me Greg. Okay. Question. You and I are both from Montreal. So
yes.
Your first season, I'm wondering if you had the same problem I did. In terms of culture shock now, since we're from Montreal, we speak Quebecois. Did you have any miscommunication with the French GOs or French GMs? Like, I had never heard really French from France before Club Med. So did you?
Oh my God.
Did anyone understand you from France? Because they didn't understand me.
At first it's sometimes the expression, but I think my worst thing was with American geos. American GMs. I was in Sonora Bay, and you go scuba diving and there's a lot of seals. And I was on the boat there, and I had to do the spiel, explain to people in French.
Okay, I know. Don't say the word. Okay, I know.
I won't say the word. We were talking about seals.
You can spell it out, but
yeah, okay. So the word seal in French is spelled completely differently.
Yeah, PHOQUE.
Yeah, exactly. But the way it sounds so when you speak French and you say seal in French, it sounds like something absolutely not acceptable in English.
It sounds like the F word.
It does. And one day I got called into the chief of village office because I was doing we're going to BC, and I do the spiel in French and everything goes, and I was so professional. It was not even funny. And I got called into the chief of office village because somebody said that I was swearing like a lumberjack. And I'm like, what? And I was crying. I'm like, but I never swore. And then he goes, what did you say on that boat that everybody complains that you were swearing? And I said, I did not even speak English. Because in those days, I didn't speak English. I learned my languages I learned my English in Club Med. I learned my Spanish in Club Med. So I tell him, he's like, what did you say? So I give him my spiel, and the poor guy now is rolling on the floor laughing. Goes like, oh, okay, you're okay. So that night at the show, he said, by the way, folks, we just like to remind you, Club Med is international. So when we translate things, bear in mind that certain words in different language might sound like something in your language, but it might be a total different meaning. So that was my big thing. And but like I said, I had a lot of mishap with languages because I learned my English in Club Med. I did not speak a word of English. So I used to confuse words like beach and another B word. So every day I was going on the B word.
Well, how many years did you spend at Club Med roughly?
I spent a little over 10 years.
Can you rattle off some of the villages you worked at? But it doesn't have to be in order. Okay, just rattle off some of the ones you worked at.
Paradise, Cancun, Martinique, Cuba, Columbus Island, Ixtapa, Playa Blanca, Turks and Caicos, Sandpiper, Sonora Bay, Huatulco, St. Lucia. I went to Haiti for a week.
Wow, sounds like you did almost all the North American zone there.
Yeah, I never went to I went to Les Indes in Switzerland, but I was there as a guest. So it was really, really funny to see the other side of things.
Okay, well, in these villages you worked at, now rattle off your position, some of the positions, the different positions you worked, please.
I did snorkeling picnic for quite a while. I think it was one of the first girls ever to do that, and I learned from the best. So, and it was funny stories. And after that, I managed bars and restaurants.
Oh, really? Okay.
So, yeah. So when people were telling me, you know, like after a full week at Club Med, when you're at the bar, people like, oh, what you going to do when you go back to the real world? Dude, this is the real world. I'm managing a bar employee, a budget, inventories, purchasing.
And I'm working 7 days a week. Yeah.
And I'm working, the good old days, 7 days a week. But if you were smart, you would get, like I said, if you were a good geo, everybody knew your name. And sometimes people would insist you go with them on excursion. So you would ask the chief of village, well, they really want us to go. And they go, yeah, sure, go. So you would get like free excursions. And at dinner time, it was great because, you know, you managed a gang throughout the week and then you had your posse for the week. So it was really nice. So I miss that, like getting to a table and not knowing a soul. You sit there, and in the good old days was tables of 8, and you would be seated there. It was maximum 2 geos per table, so everybody could. And your job as a geo at a table was to introduce everybody. Like, hey, I'm Sylvie. I'm a geo. How are you? And where are you from? Oh, you do sailing. Well, this girl, she likes to go sailing tomorrow. Maybe you guys can go together. And it was just, you know, like public relation, 24/7, basically.
Now, you said from Paradise Island, your second season was in Cancun, correct?
Cancun.
Did you finally get paid in Cancun, or were you still
yes, I got a contract. I actually got a contract towards the end in Paradise. And you know what? I'll be very honest with you. The concept of a contract I did not even understand what the difference was, because to be honest with you, when I left, I had money in the bank. So, and I never had needed any money at Club Med, because people, when they would leave you their bottle of shampoo and soaps and sometimes perfume, sometimes shoes, sometimes clothes. I don't remember buying anything. And in the good old days, I don't remember leaving Montreal with, you know, like the shampoo I would need for the year. And my hair is long. My hair was down to my bun. So I had very long, thick hair. So shampoo is something I use a lot. I never bought anything, And when my first contract ever, I was making $425 US a month. Do you know how much I managed to save on that? My pay was back in the bank. I never used my money over there.
So you're saying you were never on the blacklist, is what you're telling me?
Never. Okay. And I would actually pay drinks to Geos, because GMs would buy me drinks at the bar. So I was not using my Barbies a lot. So I would give it to them. Okay. I made a lot of friends that way.
Yeah, I can imagine. All right. You went to, you were in Turks in what, around 97, I'm guessing? Turks and Caicos, 97?
Yeah, 1997. I had come back to Montreal for a year. And in the bar where I work, 3 people come to the bar, like very menacing. I'm like, what's going on here? It was Red, Kevin Bat, and Fergie. And they go, what are you doing here in Montreal? You got to come back with us. So I went back to Turks with them.
Which bar were you working at in Montreal? Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. I was a daytime bartender at Chez Paris.
No. Okay. All right. Let's go on to the next question.
Fully clothed. Yeah. I was wearing a tuxedo.
No, I know. What's your, okay, so you did Turks. So do you have a favorite? Well, give me your personal JoJo story. Did you encounter JoJo? I'm pretty sure you did.
Yes, I did encounter JoJo. By the way, I was part of the crew that built Sharkies.
Oh, really?
Yep, I built that bar. It was a nightmare at first because it was next to the sailing shack, and it was not really prepared to receive. We had to drag coolers there every day to store everything.
Were you working at the bar? Sorry.
Yeah, I was a bartender in Turks and Caicos, and we built the bar. The bar beach was just a little round thing with an umbrella in between what now is known as Sharky's and the main village. It was just a little it was an umbrella with a little place with a cooler. So they decided to open that little shack next to the sailing shack and transform it to be a bar. And that's how Sharky's was built.
Was this Kevin's idea to build it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Sharky's is from Kevin. I was in Cancun when he got attacked by the shark. And after that, he had like a morbid fascination with sharks. So everything. So his logo was a shark. And that's how Sharky's became.
And you helped.
It was Kevin's creation.
And you helped set it up. Okay, cool.
Oh, yeah. Cool. Yeah. And Jojo, we saw him very often in Turks. One time we came back from a picnic, because once in a while I would go back on picnics. And we're coming off the boat. And I'm like, guys, get in the water. And everybody got into the water without asking it. I said, don't move. Just stay there. So we're by the dock by scuba diving. Everybody's wondering, they go, what's going on? I said, don't freak out, but Jojo's here. And they go, what? I'm like, don't move. Just float, just relax. We were in very shallow water. And Jojo spent about 20 minutes with us, circling around people, like slightly rubbing them. And, like, just like, hey, how are you? Like kind of high-fiving dolphin style to everybody. People were freaking out. And they were like, oh my God, this is so great. I'm like, don't touch him. He's still a wild animal. And everybody like just remained very cool. And you could hear like people like, oh my God, he's next to me. So it was fantastic. I swam. The first time I saw him, I got scared. I thought it was a shark because the only thing I saw was a fin.
Yeah.
Scared the beeswax out of me.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I guess your first time you see him, it's kind of you don't know what he's gonna do, and
Well, you don't know, because the only thing you know is from what you see on TV. You see dolphin on TV and movies, and you go, "Oh, this is so cool." Until it's next to you, it's a big fish.
Yeah,
it's huge, and it's like, right. Holy moly, Batman! I hope it's friendly.
Even though they're smiling at you, that you're still not convinced totally that that's a real smile.
Yeah, it can look menacing. It can look menacing. It's like, okay, calm down. But you never anticipate that it's so big and so alive, and the energy that comes out of it, you can feel it. It's like, whoa! It takes place. It's a beast.
In your 10 years roughly in Club Med, do you recall meeting any celebrities or athletes or singers or anyone?
Oh my
famous?
God! I taught Emmett Smith how to snorkel.
Emmett Smith, Dallas Cowboys running back.
Number 22, baby. Number 22.
And he won, I believe, the Mirabelle Trophy on Dancing with the Stars, I think.
Yeah, decades later.
Yeah.
I was in Eleuthera. Oh, that's another club I went to. I forgot about this one. So we're in Eleuthera, and his wife wanted him to go snorkeling. So I taught him in the pool. And I don't know, but in those days, this guy was massive. I think he had like 0% fat on him. I know it's impossible, but it was so lean and mean. But the thing is, with lean and mean machine, they sink. They don't really float. They don't have any buoyancy. So I taught him he did not really know how to swim. So taught him how to float and how to snorkel in the pool. And he was getting better and better. And the first time in the ocean, we go knee level, because I don't want him to freak out. We go knee level into the ocean. I said, all you have to do is float. And if you freak out, just stand up. That's all you got to do. You're not going to drown or anything. He puts his face down, is going well for a minute. And then I hear a scream I could never imagine coming out of such a beast. He freaked out, ran to the shore. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, you didn't tell me there are going to be fishes.
Oh boy.
When he saw the fishes.
Oh, please. Why does Emmett Smith have to have a dumb GM question? Oh, no. Okay.
He was not he was expecting something like when he saw in the pool. He never thought that.
Like what? Barbies? A brush?
I don't know, but it was. I can vividly see him running and screaming. His wife was not impressed.
This was where, in Paradise?
That was in Eleuthera.
Oh, Eleuthera.
There
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Eleuthera. Okay.
It was just so funny. But
Yikes.
no, I met a lot of people like hockey players, like Pavel Bure, Trevor Linden, a bunch of hockey players, Victoria's Secret models, GQ models, Antonio Sabato Jr.
Ah,
in Turks and
okay.
Caicos.
So you were there. You
Yeah,
were there with Michele then. Michele Staiano. With you were there with.
yeah,
Was Lulu your chief?
yeah. She was there.
Okay.
She had just gotten there.
Well, let me share the story because Michele, I worked with Michele in Playa 97 and Otranto, Italy. Then they went to Turk. So he has the funniest story about Antonio Sabato Jr. because, Michele's from Napoli, big Italian guy, and he doesn't know American celebrities. So he was telling me the story how this another Italian guy showed up, American. There, he was happy to speak Italian. He goes, "Oh, let's go work out. You like your workout?" But as he was working out with Antonio, all these women were coming up to Antonio and taking pictures of him. And Michele was used to women taking pictures of him. And whenever he asked Antonio what he did, he wouldn't say anything. He would brush it off. But finally, after the 60th girl that came up, he goes, "What do you do for a living?" He goes, "Oh, I'm an actor." Like
Oh my God,
Michele was like jealous and awed of Antonio Sabato Jr. because
But to be honest, I don't think it's legal to be that good looking because whatever you see on TV or on posters, it's not even close to what it is in real life.
oh yeah, he's a
It's
good looking guy.
striking.
So yeah, I can imagine like you put Antonio Sabato Jr. in a singles village in Turks. Yikes. Okay.
But you know what? It was very low key. He was there with his cousin, who's actually even better looking than him, if you can
Oh
believe
really?
that.
Wow.
Yeah, and
Okay.
they were just low key guys, not crazy, not self-involved or anything like that. So it was just really cool. It was just really cool. I met one of the most fun guy I met ever. His name was Bob Talbot. Nobody will know who that is, but if you remember in the 90s, there was a series, like you would see pictures of dolphin tails or whale tails, and it was everywhere. Everybody had one of those, like you would see like a big boat and just a dolphin tails like flipping just next to it. This guy was the artist who took all these pictures and all these things. And he was there.
You think
He
he's a
was in
photographer?
He's a photographer,
Oh, okay.
well-known photographer, and his photographies has been all over the place. Google Bob Talbot when you have a chance, and you will see all the pictures. And that's the guy. And I went scuba diving with him in Columbus Isle, and we ended up seeing something freakish. We saw a feeding frenzy. We were at the bottom of one of the dive sites, and we're on the sand looking up, and there was a bunch of hammerheads there, and I don't know what they were feeding on. They fed, like they kind of created a frenzy, and they just left. Probably a fish that was left over there, and they just left. So I cannot believe I lived that with the guy who takes photographies of dolphins and whales. So it was great. I met a famous otter, Mary Egan Clarks.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've heard
Judge
of her.
Judy.
Judge Judy. Okay.
What, she was there with her husband, and I think it was mayor of New York, Michael Bloomberg.
Oh yes. Okay.
Yeah, met those. They were really nice. And she's no nonsense too.
Were there any like chef de village or managers you clicked with the most? Like, there were some like, you'd like to say their name that because you thought they were.
Yes, I had fantastic chief of village. Well, the one we know and we have in common, Handel for sure. Great guy. I had one. I know it's going to be a country. Kevin Batt. I worked with him for two different villages. I worked with him when he was my chief of sports in Cancun, and he was my chief of village in Turks and Caicos. So that was cool. Carlos Castro, great guy, amazing guy, super nice. And one that's going to be Kenton Smith, believe it or not. I did Ixtapa with him, and he was just super fun to work with. And because I was a little bit older then, I was like in my 30s, and most of the geos were a little bit younger. So I was kind of the adult of the village. So he trusted me more. And I was an annex restaurant responsible. I was responsable annex, and he trusted me with everything. And I was treated well, and I had a super fun team there as well. So I don't know. I was blessed with good people. Most of the village I went to. It was great.
Oh, that's good.
But Andal and Patrick Serva. I cannot not mention Patrick Serva. He was my chief choreographer in Cancun,
He was a
and
choreographer.
he ended up being chief of village. And he was a choreographer, believe it or not.
Oh,
And he dances like a god.
well, he was my chief of sport in Playa Blanca '97, but I didn't know he was a choreographer.
He was a choreographer. He's the one who broke down he's the first one who did the choreography for Rhythm Nation.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So we did that in '94 in Turks, summer '94. Okay, cool. All right.
So much talent in the animation. I work with Graham Maxwell. That's when he did a lot of big shows like Amadeus, and the other one with Tommy.
Oh, the Who?
Yeah, the Who.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. The what? Okay.
The what? No, the Who.
Oh, man. All right. You've had some quite the career there in Club Med, I see. Wow. Worked in
No,
a lot of cool places and met some nice people.
Yeah. And I miss the camaraderie of everybody, you know, like at 5 o'clock when all the activity closes, and then the jails, we had like a little bit, a few minutes there to, you know, like to catch up with the day real fast before we hit the showers and go back to the bar and talk again with people. And you know, this is one thing I've learned from Red and Jenner. If you want to do like things, just jails, find a few cool GMs throughout the week and, you know, like do a bonfire with them, invite them so you can have like huge gatherings with fun people and a lot of geos and everybody's happy.
Yeah.
And I miss that, the catching up with people and people working with people from all over the place. I've worked with people from Mauritius Island. I mean, I never knew I did not even know that it was an island called Mauritius. I had no idea. I discovered nationalities, food, and everybody got along. Most of the times, everybody got along. And I miss that.
Yeah, me too.
That.
Me
Keep
too.
getting to know other people, other way of life, other ethnicities. Everything that goes with it. I miss that. People don't take the time nowadays, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, what's its own utopia back then, Club Med. You know, nobody talked religion or politics or anything. It was like, hey, what'd you do today? Oh, I went snorkeling. Oh, great.
Yeah. I remember in Paradise Island, people coming and like, oh my God, the wall. I'm like, and all the Jews were like, what? It was in the good old days when we didn't have any internet, iPhones, tablets, or even a
newspapers, or even
newspaper, nothing at all. And then we found out 3 days after the new arrival of GMs that the Berlin Wall went down.
Okay, wow. That's
well, what a small event, you'd say. But yeah, so we're like, what?
Yeah, no, but I think anyone who worked in the early 90s, there was some major event if they were at, like for you, it was the Berlin Wall. But for me, my first season, '94, was the O.J. Simpson trial. And I didn't know what was going on. Guests would come in with the New York Charter and tell us, okay, this is what happened this week.
Oh, I missed the entire kerfuffle with that. I did not even know what happened. Oh, you want to hear a funny story about New York and Martinique and a plane?
Sure. As long as it's appropriate, because you put Martinique and New York in there. So, okay.
Yeah, I know. I understand your fear, my friend.
Okay.
it's so clean. It's not even funny.
Okay, good.
Doing arrival and departure, any good geos remember arrival and departure. What a pleasure it was. And in the good old days, we would do them in perios. So I'm wearing like my perios and a pair of thongs. And
okay, you mean sandals, right?
Sandals, yeah. Sorry, okay. My age doesn't get there.
Okay.
That used to get me in trouble a lot. So yeah, and one of the geos, he had little birds, and one of them, it was like a little lovebird. And that thing loved me. So I always, during departure and arrival, I always had him on my shoulder. It was his name was Paco, and he was an excursion geos. And I would take care of his bird. So it was a small little bird. And like I said, my hair was very, very long. So the little bird loved to be like on my shoulder, like very close to my neck. And he would he would hide himself in my hair. So very often people would not notice that I had a bird on my shoulder. And in Martinique, we also had the crew from American Airlines that would stay with us for the night. And they would bring some GMs. They would spend the night at Club Med. They would go back to New York, and then another charter would come back. So they would change crews. So, and one day, one of the crews that were there, because it was very often the same crew, the captain said, we were two girls. I forgot the name of the other girl that was with me. And he goes, you girls want to come and see the airplane? And I'm like, sure, why not? So we go into the aircraft, and it's a huge one. And he goes, you guys want to do the ride to New York with us? I'm like, sure, why not? So here we are. Imagine the good old days. Nowadays, after 9/11, you would never think of that. I swear to you, we did not go through custom or anything. We stayed on board the plane. Nobody asked us anything. Here we are. We don't even have passport. I have a bird on my shoulder. And
wait, Sylvie, are you saying you went from Martinique to New York?
Yeah, and then
but did you ask the chief of village if you could go?
No, because we were at the airport all day long. So our job was to drive the GMs that were leaving in the morning to New York. So we would drive them to the airport. And then we would spend the day at the airport waiting for the new arrival of GMs.
Yeah, but you're saying you took the plane from Martinique to New York?
Yeah, we brought back the other bunch of GMs that were coming back.
Yeah, but that's quite a long flight, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was 5 hours.
So you didn't even ask the chief, you just went on the plane?
We didn't tell anybody, not even the GOs we were with at the airport. Nobody knew we were gone.
Okay.
Nobody knew we were gone. We were on the plane. And I remember, I'm like, nowadays, and bear with me, I became a flight director years later. And I'm thinking back on that, and I'm like, there's no way. No, just no.
I've never heard of that. Like the GO went on a plane to pick up,
Yeah, we got onto the plane, and in those days we would not like, oh, that was a cool thing. Hey, you want to go to New York? Whatever. Like, sure. We got on the plane. They cleaned the plane. We stayed on board. We did not even go out custom or anything. We stayed on the plane. The people boarded, and we're like, hey, welcome to Club Med. And when we flew 10 hours, 11 with the 1 hours on the ground.
Good Lord.
And we brought back people the same day. That's it. That's all we did. And after a while, when we came back, they go, oh, there you go, guys. We look for you everywhere. Where were you? I'm like, oh, we went to get the GMs. And nobody thought of asking us, you went to get them where?
Really? Wow. Okay.
And when they found out, well, some people got upset afterwards, like, no, you cannot do that. So that's why we didn't do it again. But it's like, but we were so like, well, they asked us if we wanted to do it. Anyway, we would have been stuck at the airport. So what was the difference? It's like, no, you cannot board a plane and leave a country. And what if something would have happened? What if the plane would have been delayed? What if we never thought of that? We honestly never thought of that. How innocent.
Simpler times. Yeah. Simpler times. Yeah. Well, that's why I asked. That's why I asked you these questions. I never heard of that before. Like I just kept thinking, oh boy.
Can you imagine now get, you open the plane. There's a girl there two girls with perios, and one of them's got a bird on her shoulder. No passport, no documentation, nothing but a smile and a tan. What, but it was simpler times.
Wow. Okay.
Way much simpler.
All right. Well, this last question might be hard for you because you spent so many years in Club Med and you went to so many great villages. So I'm wondering if there was one season that was magical to you in any way more than the others, or did you like all your seasons just for different reasons, or was there one that really stood out? Was it your first one because of all the talent you had on your team and you weren't really planning to work there? I don't know. You tell me. What do you have one like that?
Honestly, I would say most of my season, I was blessed to work with fantastic people. I had, like amazing chief of village. Oh, I forgot to mention Yeyu Ribisana. Great person. And, but honestly, my first season, to me, because of all the cultural shock, there were nationalities I did not even know about, food I'd never seen before, experience I've never lived. I mean, to be able to wake up and you realize nowadays, like I'm over, I'm 54 and a half. So I grew up since then, but in those days, I did not appreciate the fact that you get up, you just splash some water on your face, grab a perio, tie it up, and go to work. And 5 minutes later, you're there. You're at work. And then you have amazing sceneries, beautiful. I remember the blooming, midnight jasmine in Eleuthera, the smell of it. So the smell, and most people are on vacation. They're having fun. It's great. And they just want to have like a great experience. But my first season, honestly, was magical. To be honest, it was magical. The people I work with, everybody was willing to help everyone. And there was, I remember taking off the, like at 5 o'clock when you close the activities and all the sailing equipment that you need to bring back up to the beach. You've been to sports geos, you know how hard that is.
Yeah.
Everybody would gather and do it. It's like, because we would grab a quick drink at the sailing shack before we would go and hit the shower. So everybody was helping everybody. Everybody participated. I remember arrival, departure, big groups, and people at planning. And it was the good old days with the little stickers they would have. It was not, we didn't have any computers in those days. So everything was little tabs with everybody's name. And they would show you what to do. And you would just go, okay. They give you one task and you had to. So I learned so many things. And and the people that took the time to show you and share their experience and what worked and what made you a great geo. That's to this day, I swear, I still carry it with me, and I've implemented it everywhere I went.
It's a great answer. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you, Sylvie. You've got so many crazy stories, so many fun times. I really want to thank you for sharing that with us and the listeners. Thank you, man. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. I love your podcast, by the way. I'm a fan. So I was very, very
thank you.
Happy that you asked me.
Oh no, for someone who I'm hoping that there's a picture out there with us in it, and we goofed on our dates, like we actually did a season together. I'm going to go through mine again, because it's crazy that we have like 45 friends in common, and that we just missed each other all these times. But eventually, we met at one of Handel's parties after we both stopped Clement. So better late than
we
never.
met at so many Handel's parties. It's like you're a part of the family. So, I get there and it's my brothers and sisters. And for me, there's no such thing as a geo I don't know. It's like, oh, you're a geo? I know you. Come here. It's like, but I'm great to have known people like you, even though I regret not working with you. I'm sure we would have a blast.
Oh yeah, man. You kidding? I would have went with you guys on that plane to Martinique, from Martinique to New York.
Oh, you would have loved it.
Just for the story. I mean, wow. Okay.
We didn't know what we were doing. And nowadays, like decades, I'm like, oh my God, I cannot believe I've done that.
Yeah.
Holy moly, Batman.
I didn't tell anyone where I went. Whoops. Okay. I can't call them. Okay.
Yeah, we left the country.
I got this guy's bird for 11 hours. I kidnapped his bird.
Yeah, and nobody missed anybody. It was like it could have been a bad story, but no, it was a great story.
Well, yeah, I can't wait for people to hear that one. Okay. They're like, what? She did what? Okay.
I hope I don't get in trouble.
No. Are you kidding? There's the statute of limitations really ran out on that one. Okay.
That was in 92. That was in 92.
Yeah. That was pre everything. So yeah, I wouldn't worry.
Yeah. So it was in the good old days, like blessed ignorance.
Yep. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode. This was from Montreal, Sylvie, and we'll see you all next week. Say bye, Sylvie.
Bye, Sylvie. Bye, everybody.
Bye.